Hola clase. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre las palabras interrogativas. Okay, so let's talk today about interrogative words, question words. Okay, you've got a note guide in front of you. We're going to fill that out throughout the video. Okay, first up you see quién. Quién means who. Okay, now you see there on your note guide you have quién and quiénes. So what is the difference? Because they both mean who. Okay, you need to use quiénes when you expect a plural answer to your question. So let's look at these examples. ¿Quién es el presidente? Who is the president? Notice I used quién because I'm expecting one name, right? It's Barack Obama. This next question, en este grupo, ¿quiénes tienen los ojos azules? In this group, who here has blue eyes? I'm expecting that more than one of you has blue eyes. Okay, so I used quiénes. Next up, we have de quién and de quiénes. De quién, you're going to use de quién when asking about a possession. So for example, de quién es esta mochila? Whose backpack is this? Okay, so de quién really is going to kind of translate to whose. Okay, used when asking about possession. Next up, you have a quién versus and a quiénes. You need to use a quién or a quiénes when the answer to the question will result in the usage of a personal a. Okay, remember you need to use a personal a when your direct object is a person. Let's look at this question. Who do you visit after school? I visit my grandma. Okay, grandma is the direct object here and she's a person. Okay, so I need the personal a here and in my question. Okay, con quién is next up on your list. It means with whom or with who. You're going to use con quién when the answer to the question will result in the usage of con, which means with. So look at this example. Hey, who are you going out with tonight? Con quiénes sales esta noche? I'm going out with my friends. Salgo con mis amigos. Notice here I also used quiénes. I used plural because I was expecting that you were going out with more than one person. Okay, if you knew they had a date on this particular night, then maybe you would say con quién. Okay, let's move on. Que and cuál or cuáles, they both mean what. What's the difference? Well, use que when asking for a definition or explanation. Like, what's a reflexive verb? Que es un verbo reflexivo. Okay, what day is today? Etc. Use cuál or cuáles when asking for a selection or a choice, like from a group. Okay, so for example, ¿qué color prefieres? ¿Azul o rojo? What color do you prefer? You're kind of saying like which one. Okay, so you're asking them to choose or make a selection. Okay, a little more on cuál and cuáles. Not only does it mean what, but it also means which or which one. What's the difference? You're going to use cuáles when you're expecting a plural answer. So for example here, ¿cuáles clases te gustan? What classes do you like? Which classes do you like? You're going to assume they probably like more than one. And you can see here in the answer, well, me gustan todas mis clases. I like them all. Okay, next up you've got cuánto and cuánta. They both mean how much. The difference between them is determined by gender. I will tell you that typically you're going to default here to cuánto. Okay, it would be very unusual for you to use cuánta just because of if you try to think of how when you say how much time, how much money, how much. Okay, how much is a lot of times followed by a masculine singular noun. Okay, that's just in my experience. That's not an overall rule. First example here, ¿cuánto dinero necesitas? How much money do you need? Okay, you've also seen this combination in this common question. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Okay, how much does something cost? Okay, you've learned that early on in Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. ¿Cuánto cuesta este libro? Okay, next up on your list, you've got cuántos and cuántas. They mean how many. You're obviously going to either select cuántos or cuántas based on gender. Let's look at a few examples. How many books do you have? ¿Cuántos libros tienes? Okay, libros was masculine plural, so we needed masculine plural here of cuántos. How many people are here? People is feminine, so you've got ¿cuántas personas están aquí? Okay, next up you've got como. Como means how. You're going to use como just like you would in English. Like, how are you today? How do you feel? How was the game? Okay, there's really not many usage notes here, just use as it is in English. Common question we all know. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás hoy? ¿Cómo llegas a la escuela? How do you get to school? Okay, ¿para qué? ¿Para qué means why, but as in for what purpose? Okay, for what maybe would be a better translation once you write that on your note guide. For what instead of why. Okay, so para qué is used to ask what something is used for. So, ¿para qué usas esta máquina? What do you use this machine for? Okay, what's it used for? Again, make sure you change that meaning. I don't like that. That's what the book has, but I don't like that translation of why. Okay, so ¿para qué usas esta máquina? What do you use this machine for? Well, I use it to repair jewelry. La uso para reparar joyas. Okay, next up on your list you see por qué, which means why, as in for what reason. Okay, ¿por qué estudias español? Why do you study Spanish? Lo estudio porque quiero viajar. I study it because I like to travel. I want to travel around. Okay, next up you've got ¿dónde?, which means where. Very common question here. ¿Dónde está el baño? Where is the question? Or excuse me, where is the bathroom? Está al lado de la cafetería. It's next to the cafeteria. Okay, a few variations you can see here on your note guide of ¿dónde? ¿De dónde?, which is one of the first questions you learned in Spanish 1. Oh, excuse me. Please forgive me. ¿De dónde? Is used to ask where someone or something is from. Okay, because de can mean of or from. So, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? Soy de Indiana. If I said, ¿de dónde es este libro? Where's this book from? Okay, es de España. It's from Spain. You're going to use ¿a dónde? When you're asking where someone is going to. So, ¿a dónde vas después de las clases? Where are you going after school? They're going to answer using that preposition a as well. They're going to say, voy a mi casa. Okay, so it's kind of like with the a quién. If it's going to be used in the answer, you need to use it in the question. Okay, lastly, you've got cuándo. Cuándo means when. Not much usage notes there. It's just used as it is in English. Okay, so here, ¿cuándo visitas a tu abuela? When do you visit your grandmother? La visito los viernes. I visit her on Fridays. Okay, let's practice. On the back side of your note guide, you've got room here for all 11 of these practice questions. We will do number 1 together. It's important here that you do know what these sentences are saying in English, because like when you look at ¿dónde?, which means where, are you supposed to use ¿dónde?, ¿a dónde?, ¿de dónde? Okay, so that's where reading comprehension is going to play a role. So let's look at 1. Where are you going for vacation? Oh, I always go to Florida. So, where? Should you put ¿dónde? Or ¿a dónde? You're asking where they're going to. Here's the word to. This, number 1, needs to be ¿a dónde? Alright, please pause me and work through the rest of the practice problems. Okay, let's review. What is a carry-on? K. Number 2, who in here wants to be flight attendants? ¿Quién es? I was expecting more than one of you, so I used it plural. You can also tell I wanted something plural here because of quieren. 4, what's a passport for? ¿Para qué? And why do you need it? ¿Por qué? 5, how do you feel today? ¿Cómo te sientes hoy? 6, when is the quiz? ¿Cuándo es la prueba? 7, who are you going to eat lunch with today? Both of these are correct. You could say ¿con quién? Or ¿con quiénes? Okay, again, it would depend on the situation that you are using this. If you were talking to a friend here at school, obviously your tables have room for about 10 people, so you'll probably default here and say ¿con quiénes? Number 8, whose suitcase is this? ¿De quién? 9, how many classes do you have? ¿Cuántas? Okay, you put cuántas because classes is feminine. 10. Where's Dollar General at? ¿Dónde está Dollar General? And 11. Which of these books do you want? ¿Cuál or cuáles? Again, it would depend on the situation. If you were in a bookstore and you had 3 or 4 and you wanted them to pick 2, then you would say cuáles. If you just had 2 books and you were saying, hey, which one do you want? Then you need to use cuál. ¿Cuál de estos libros quieres? Okay, that is it for today's notes. Please do me a favor, read page 96 and 97 in your textbook and write down any questions you have on your note guide. Okay, muchas gracias. Adiós.